It's the W.E.S.T podcast, wrestling, entertainment, sports, and travel. And now here's your host, Ops.
What up, y'all? It's a brand new Saturday, a brand new episode of the W.E.S.T podcast. And Ronnie will be for sure back with us next week, so never fear, never fear. Just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. Had some non-traditional Thanksgiving food thanks to the folks at Livin Their. Y'all are at least on point every time that I've been, so I can't complain. So, anywho, let's get into this. We got a lot to get into. Just had Survivor Series, War Games. We're now on the road to the Royal Rumble in, I want to say it's normally in January, but I believe they put it now around Super Bowl weekend. So let's see how that plays out. Or I'll have to update that next week because it's already out. So you can actually go find the date. I could probably look it up right here, but I'll go look it up and I'll update it. So anyway, with that being said, the WWE is bringing back Saturday night's main event, and it could not have come at a better time, in my opinion. The product, the business, they always need to stay ahead of themselves, and sometimes in order to put out something new or refresh, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to go into your closet, and they're pulling out Monday or Saturday night's main event. Once again, that show that we used to stay up late to watch when we were kids and get all excited. And the reason why Saturday night's main event is exciting is because stuff happens. Like, literally groundbreaking stuff happens on Saturday night's main event. If you can remember, Hulk Hogan, who never loses, lost the title to The Undertaker on Saturday night's main event, and The Undertaker gave that belt, or actually it was Andre the Giant that beat Hulk Hogan, and Andre the Giant gave the belt to the $1 Million Man. I remember that night, and I was so stunned, and it was crazy. So things like that happen. I remember actually Hulk Hogan, and I believe it was with the Macho Man or the Ultimate Warrior, actually won the tag team titles on Saturday night's main event. They beat Money Inc. So titles change hands, and that's a big thing in wrestling. So I'm looking forward to that. The first match, or the first main event, is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. And who knows? Cody Rhodes could possibly lose the title that night. We don't know. But normally something big happens. Normally they put the main event first. And that's what they said that they're doing for this Saturday night's main event. And so that's why I'm kind of feeling it, because they're pretty much going with tradition, and pretty much something's going to happen. If you want me to predict something, I would say it's probably going to be the big three. Everybody's talking about the big three heels: Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens, officially, or their first kind of meeting of the minds and saying, hey, let's, form a group or do something here. So that's what I think may happen. All the way up to Cody may lose the title. So who knows? I mean, they've been kind of keeping Kevin Owens around the title, pretty much for the last year. So let's see. So let's see what the big news is.
The big story of the week was this.
Okay, so AEW filed for multiple trademarks on yesterday, actually, with the U.S. Trademark Office. They filed for Maximum Combat, Maximum Mayhem, and Maximum Carnage. Now, they're just names or trademarks, so I think they're going to be pay-per-views, maybe. I think they're going to be names of pay-per-views for their new, or maybe new shows, actually, because they're getting their new deal with Max. So That could be for their new deal with Max. So let's watch out for that. In other news, there were multiple injuries now that we're finding out from War Games. You have Bronson Reed break both ankles jumping from the top of the War Games chamber or the steel cage. It's kind of bad. When you actually see it, oh my gosh, when you actually see these injuries happen, if you ever think wrestling's fake, I won't really recommend watching the injuries, but if you just see one, and then you'll know, hey, stuff happens for real. Tongaloa, he's got a torn tricep, and Jimmy Uso has a broken toe, which is probably out of the three the easiest to come back from. So those are your injuries from War Games. So those three are probably going to be having a bad week. But there are shows all week long, and only 1 week show could be.
I'm living my best week.
All right. So here on the W.E.S.T podcast, we go through the shows Saturday through Saturday because there's pretty much wrestling on every night. And you may have trouble, figuring out which is which or what's going on. So that's where we try to help you navigate each night. And just so you know, the main thing is the main event. And that's pretty much all you need to know about what's going on with the show. So we go and give you the main event of every show and tell you which one is.
I'm living my best week.
All right, so let's start on Saturday with Collision. You had Okada versus Garcia, Danny Garcia, in the Continental Classic Tournament. So right now, AEW is having what's called their Continental Classic Tournament. It's just kind of a way to break up the season, I guess. So they're having just a tournament. It does lead to a championship. Okada right now is the reigning defending Continental champion right now. So they kind of do it like soccer, kind of like on a point system. They do it in groups. There's a gold group and a blue group. So you make your way out of the group and then you fight your way to a shot at the title, I guess. Or maybe the winner of the tournament is the new champion. So basically the way the matches work, I gotta break it down. The matches are 20 minutes in time limits, and you can't have anybody at ringside. Nobody at all. So none of your friends, your managers, your family, unless they bought a ticket to the show. So basically, Okada, first time we have this on Livin Their Best Week, the main event match ends in a draw, a straight time limit draw, no interference, no nothing. About the biggest thing that happened was Okada acted like he wanted to shake Daniel Garcia's hand and flipped him off instead. So that's all you got on that. And then Monday Night Raw, a couple of things happening. Things are starting to ramp up on Raw on Monday nights. You had your boys, the New Day. They turned on their boy Big E. So for weeks, the New Day have kind of been, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been fighting amongst themselves. They're pretty much the only positive brothers left on the Raw roster, probably on the WWE roster, except for R-Truth. I mean, to be R-Truthful about it. They're the only positive brothers that are there, or the Street Profits. But they've been fighting amongst themselves lately, saying maybe they need to change and this and that. And so this week on Raw, they had their 10th anniversary, and it looked like Xavier Woods and Kofi were going to go at each other. Ended up, Big E came into the ring, and they basically focused all their anger and their hatred and their oh my gosh, their anger, their animosity, their resentment toward Big E, and basically kicked Big E out the group and said, hey, you keep to your desk job and we gonna do our thing going forward. We gonna do us. So that's something to watch. A heel turn from the New Day. And then later on, Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, was jumped backstage. So we don't know who did it. And your main event match was Seth Rollins defeating Sami Zayn straight up. And Sami Zayn, he was kind of, in his feelings over Jey Uso getting jumped and not knowing who it was. He was sure it was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins says, "Nah, dude, it wasn't me. Use your head. I don't like your whole situation, but I wouldn't do that. I'm still cool." And then out of nowhere, Seth Rollins leaves. And Sammy's just kind of thinking in the ring, and out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre sucker kicks Sami Zayn in the back of the head, and he's been gone ever since he got beat by CM Punk in Hell in a Cell. So I'm pretty sure McIntyre was behind jumping Jey Uso as well. So we're probably gonna find out for sure by this coming Monday. So we'll stay tuned and see. Now, I promised it for the past couple weeks. I've added NXT to Living Their Best week, only because it's getting kind of crazy now. They've had Bubba Ray Dudley come back. I believe they had Bradshaw Layfield show up on the show. They've been having TNA wrestlers come on, so it's been getting kind of crazy. And they've gotten a pay-per-view actually later on today, Deadline. So this week, Eric Bischoff appeared on NXT to kind of have a summit or a face-off between the two competitors for the NXT title, Trick Williams and Ridge Holland, and it did not disappoint. Eric Bischoff gave both of them kind of offhanded, backhand comments, and then Ridge Holland and Trick went in on each other. And surprisingly, Trick, who's supposed to be the face, threw the first punch at Ridge, and Ridge kind of fired back. They started brawling, and they ended up, Ridge put Trick through a table, and he seemed to be kind of injured going into tonight's Deadline, premium live event, if you want to call it that. Wednesday, you got Dynamite, and not even the main event, and I'm kind of hyped, y'all can tell. You had Jay White defeat Pac in just kind of like it was a Continental Classic match, and but only everybody kind of showed up. So once the match is over, it's no rules. So the Death Riders show up, try and beat down Jay White. And then out comes Hangman Adam Page. And so he's kind of stepping to the Death Riders, because the Death Riders were like, okay, we're going to, we already beat up Switchblade. So the Death Riders were like, well, let's kind of avoid Hangman too. And then out from nowhere comes Orange Cassidy, and he starts the whole brawl. So Hangman, Switchblade, and Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta, Moxley, and Claudio and Pac, and because Claudio had a match later. So in the ring, you had Jay White, former leader of Bullet Club. You had Hangman Adam Page, former member of Bullet Club and the Elite, and then you had Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed, in the ring, kind of going, you know what? I think we're probably gonna have to team up to defeat the Death Riders. So that's something to look out for. That wasn't the main event. The main event was Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King in a Continental Classic style match. And pretty much Claudio defeated Brody King straight up. No shenanigans afterwards. It was just, let's go off the air. So there you have that. And then Thursday night, Impact TNA Wrestling. You had Frankie Kazarian and the Northern Armory. This is Josh Alexander and his new two duo, defeating Steve Macklin, Eric Young, John Grisham, and Santana. Pretty much, it was kind of a hit and run thing. Frankie Kazarian hit Santana in the back. They have a trophy that I guess Frankie Kazarian won. It was a pick your shot battle royal and or a pick your shot gauntlet match, and Frankie Kazarian won it. and he used the trophy to his advantage to get the win. Now, Rampage, we're not going to do. We're kind of exchanging NXT and taking Rampage out because they're just doing like a Lucha Libre episode. And I love my Luchas. I mean, you got to see it live to really appreciate it. So we took out Rampage, put in NXT, and then the main show on Friday, SmackDown. Cody Rhodes defeated Chad Gable, and Kevin Owens happened to be, in the building because he had an interview earlier with Michael Cole. And so he comes in after Cody's match, and Cody kind of hurt his ankle during the match. So Kevin Owens goes right for that hurt ankle, kind of going, trying to do some damage before Saturday night's main event next weekend. And they pretty much ended up in a brawl. No one got the best of each other. Everybody was trying to hold them back, and they were getting free of the bodyguards, security, and upper middle management. And they were just going back at each other. And then so they had a brawl to end the show. And January 5th, it looks like Raw is going to be going to Netflix. So with all the trouble that Netflix had with the Tyson Paul fight, I don't know how that's going to be. But I don't think you're going to have as many people watching Monday Night Raw as you had the Tyson fight. So that may be a good thing. But Netflix really needs to get their stuff together if they're going to be handling my favorite product on Monday night. If I'm going to be paying for the subscription, wink, wink, nod, nod. Like, otherwise I just get a hookup and watch it. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Netflix, get your act together. Because whether I'm watching paid or free, I don't want my TV buffering. All right? And so one thing that's not going to be buffering, when we come back, we're going to have Mock Sports West. We're going to see what you watching. And then we're going to do some food and travel. Peace.